Welcome to the Knighthood Podcast, a comprehensive weekly analysis of the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season, brought to you by Michael and James. So fire up and let's go. Fired up, James?
Absolutely, mate. It's always good to be on here when we off the back of a win. So, and that's 2 in a row now. So, just glad they got the victory the other day.
What are you saying? We're on a roll, 2 from 2.
A bit of a roll, yeah. It's begun, hasn't it? 10 in a row,
yeah.
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully. Well, there's 2. What do we got? 8 matches to go. You can see my thing here: 8 wins, 8 losses for the season, and 8 to go. So we're 2 wins into our 10-week win streak. We can repeat it.
Yeah.
All starts this week against the Sea Eagles.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting match when you think about it. You know, both teams missing guys, key guys. So particularly us losing our centres and also KP. And then, Cherry Evans gone for the Eagles. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game.
I've had a look through the team selections, and I can see where Adam O'Brien's head's at with that. So we'll get into that in the second half of the show. And look, let's not fluff around too much. Let's get into the content for tonight. So we're going to run through the Newcastle Knights round 18 review and the round 19 preview, brought to you by our season sponsor, MB Optimal Oral Care. So in the first half of the show, we'll go through a full review, run through our Knighthood Player of the Year 3-2-1 update, run through the NRL ladder with no buys. So we've taken the time to have a look at that, which is it takes all the buys out and gives you a clear idea about where we actually sit and where our competition sits when it comes to judging where we're going to land in the top 8 or top 4. Then we'll run through our 2024 season review, and we'll have a quick look at our run home. And we've been looking at certain periods throughout the year. So we've got a block of 4 matches that we've been looking at. There's two of those matches have done. We've won 2, as James just mentioned. So we've got 2 to go in that little period before our next bye. Pretty critical couple of weeks coming up. So then we'll get into the second half of the show. We'll run over our injury and suspension update, run through our team list and review, ref and weather included in that, and then go over our analysis, some key points there, go into our betting update, and go into any tips that we might have at the end of the show. Just as a reminder, we do break this up. Not obviously, we can't do that when we're live, so we're live right now, but after the show, we will break it up so that if you're not watching it live, you can skip to different sections. So it'll be in the review, review and preview, and then the betting update. So whatever tickles your fancy, skip to it if you want, or just watch the full show. And we'll aim tonight to keep it under 60 minutes. So, James, we got up over the Raiders away. I know that you were scared. We got the milk by 4 points. So happy about that. Takes us to a winning record of 8 wins, 8 losses for the season. And then if you're on the other side of that, the Canberra Raiders, well, they're now 7 wins from 9 losses. So a critical win when it comes to the ladder, even though O'Brien doesn't look at ladders. I'm sure he's got his eye on the ladder. So, yeah, I mean, 3 tries to 2 conversions. We missed 1 conversion. I think Hastings missed it from the sideline. He hit the post. We were in front at halftime by 10 points to 6. So a good win and a much-needed win. Let's run through some stats. So we'll whip through it. Possession and completions. The Knights were at 50%. Possession equal there with the Raiders. Time in possession was very even, 30 minutes each. Completion rates very even, 77% for, what do we got? The Knights will be on the right-hand side there. So we've got, 78% for the Knights, 77% for the Raiders. So look, I don't think I've seen a more even possession and completion sheet than that one, James, this year.
Yeah, 100%. That's it's pretty spot on, isn't it? But
very competitive match.
Yeah, and some errors sort of crept into the game like later in the game. I thought, there were some critical errors throughout the game, but and we seem to do that when we seem to make more errors in the second half. So hopefully that's something we can work on.
Yeah. Second half, I mean, we'll get into it in a bit more detail, but it was definitely hard watch. Hard watch.
That was,
But me personally, I I didn't ever feel like we were going to lose the match. I was hoping for us to kick on and to put a bit of a score on, and that's what I was hoping for and kind of looking for. That's how, to me, the game looked like it was going. And then you kind of I watched it on Fox. I didn't watch it on Channel 9. And then you got the commentators against that. They've kind of putting a hoodoo on the night, saying, "Oh, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close finish. It's going to go to golden point." Blah blah blah. I didn't see it going. Ended up going that way because of the errors that we made. So anyway, let's keep going through the stats. In terms of attack, we had 213 runs to their 187. We made more meters, so 2,256. So we ran a lot of meters to their 1,948. So we did a little bit better, which I think is pretty impressive because the Raiders have a good pack and a good back five. So yeah, to outrun them in meters I think is a very good sign. And slight edge and post contact meters, nothing major there. Line breaks 5-2, so we had the edge there. Tackle breaks, we had a slight edge, 38-31. Average set distance, we had 5 extra meters compared to the Raiders, 53 meters to 48, and kick return meters. That's a good one for the Knights, 340 compared to 186. We don't normally win that stat by that much. So, yeah, I think that's a good stat there that stands out. Anything else there stick out to you, James?
No, not particularly. It was just, like you said, it was really good to see the boys making a crap load of meters. I think it was actually, I think both Saifidis made over 100 meters, which was good to see.
They both made that close right. to, I think, somewhere between 130 to 140 each.
Yeah.
Jacob so really had a slight edge. Yeah, good to see. Definitely, I've got a bit of a point to make about that as we go. So offloads for each. So the style of footy was very similar. And I think maybe the Knights, they learnt their lesson from round one when the Raiders did us. And we both played a pretty similar style of footy. So this time we didn't, I think the Knights learnt their lesson. And they went toe-to-toe with the Raiders, and we got the result that we probably should have got in round one if we did the same thing strategically. So, overall there's nothing else there that's really overly important in terms of receipts, total passes, and dummy passes. I don't think that really adds up to much. Just the offloads there is the key stat. Both teams on 4, and I'd like to see us offloading a bit more than that. But for this match, it did the job. Kicking, they outkicked us. They had 815 meters to our 611. And we got 1 forced dropout. Kick defusal was 73%, so not too bad, but not great. Their kick defusal was better than ours at 92%. We did 8 bombs to their 9, and we did 2 grubbers each. So, their kicking game was really good. The Raiders, Cook, their halfback.
Yeah, he looked impressive.
He's got a boot on him.
Yeah.
Also positive, I think, to see Will Price doing a fair bit of kicking as well. He's got a boot on him as well. That definitely adds something to us. Hastings, obviously our tactics with the kicking are pretty monotonous, but I think the style of play, it did grind the Raiders down, and I think we got on top of them towards the end of the first half. And then Will Price made that forward pass off the scrum. There was 3 minutes left, and I remember clearly in this watching it, I was thinking, we've played this style of footy, and we've got, I think it was something like 11 sets head-to-head since we got in front by 10-6, and it went toe-to-toe for 11 sets, and then finally the Raiders, they made a mistake inside their own half, and then off the scrum, Price did the forward pass, and it went to O'Brien. You saw it. You could see what was going through. He said it's like, this is the time where we capitalise on that style of play, and we should score and convert, because they're probably tired there. I think we probably had a really good chance to score. And look, we're not going to beat up Price too much, but that was a shocking forward pass. Second one of the first half. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, it was a terrible pass. Okay, so defense, both teams, I think, defensively weren't too bad. There was a lot of effort. There was a lot of lot of grit, determination by both teams, and both in the 90% their Knights slight edge at 91.48%, so their 90.29 effective tackle percentage. The Raiders made slightly more tackles than us, which is good because we normally make more tackles than the opposition. So they made 400 to our 376. So that's good to see that stat going in the right direction for us. And missed tackles for us, 31 to their 38. Intercepts, they had an intercept that led to a try. And ineffective tackles is pretty even there. 4 to the Knights, 5 to the Raiders. So overall, I think it was a really strong defensive performance from both teams, especially the Knights. The Raiders scored that one there through the middle early in the match. And Papali'i is a very dangerous player. He's got a big strike rate there doing that type of thing. So they almost stopped it. I don't know. I'm still 50-50 whether it was a try and whether the ball got onto the ground. I watched it about 10 times. I never saw the white ball on the ground. Maybe if they had a magnifying glass or a better view, they might have seen it. But I think it went up no try. So, it looked like he probably got it down. But could you conclusively say that he got the ball down on the ground from the video evidence? I would say no. And I would have said because it went up as a no try, it's probably a no try. But anyway, it's a 50-50. And then the only other try that they scored was from an intercept from Ponga. And I mean, apart from that kick through at the end when they almost scored, the Knights, I think, never looked like giving it. What are your thoughts on that, James? That's what my take was, that was quite comfortable. We held them pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I was the same way. I watched it and I was like thinking the only time that there was pressure coming from the Raiders was when we turn over the ball or do something stupid.
Yeah.
So we, it wasn't the Raiders doing it. It was us putting ourselves under pressure. But I felt comfortable defensively for the most part. I'm not going to bag out Ponga too much. He was trying to score, get it out there. And that's just what happens sometimes. But yeah, I felt comfortable for the most part.
So negative play. We made less than 10 errors in the match, and that's good. So I think if you do 10 errors a match, it's okay. You've got to take some risk, and you've got to, there's going to be the odd mistake here and there in the match. So anything under 10 is okay. It's going to put you in a position to win a match footy. So Raiders made 12, slightly more than us. We gave away 4 penalties to there too, but ruck infringements were 2 all, and inside 10 metres, 1 to the Raiders, none to us. So overall, I don't think the ref really had too much of an influence on the match. Do you agree with that one?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really
pissed you off.
No, there was just I think what was pissing me off more was a couple of the penalties we got against us, but it was our own doing. It wasn't the ref. I didn't really notice much from the ref, which is usually a good thing. So he must have done 100%. A decent job.
Yeah, it was a good game. Overall, pretty good game to watch. Okay, so let's have a look at the player stats. So Ponga in his comeback match ran for 195 metres. Let's just talk a little bit about his performance. I thought, he looked very dangerous, and the commentators have they're in love with Ponga, aren't they? He's a super player. He's dangerous. But you've got to say it. I mean, the second half, he had a dead set shocker, gave away intercept try. Then when we were right on the attack, looking to score another try, he dropped the ball right at their line. And then he made a critical error again. He ran the ball on the 5th tackle when I think there was like 2 minutes to go, and he dropped it on the 40-metre line. There was a bit of talk about Will Price making a few mistakes. I think he ended up making 3 errors, about the same as Ponga. But I actually think Ponga's errors were more critical and could have had a bigger impact on the match. So, definitely wasn't too happy to see. But, I guess the one thing I was happy to see is that Ponga was really playing. He was attacking, and he was really putting in a big effort to put it on the Raiders.
He wasn't tentative at all, was he? He went straight out there. He was really into it. Yeah.
So I got to say I like that. We probably should have been a little bit more conservative in the end when he dropped that one in the last 5 minutes. I mean, should have kicked the ball. But anyway, it's easy to be critical here. But I think it wasn't. He didn't make my 3-2-1 this week, even though he played great and did some good things. I don't think he had enough of an impact on the match to figure in my 3-2-1. And then, what are your thoughts on that Ponga performance, James? Anything different there?
Well, I just thought, he did make a few errors, but I thought he looked dangerous, and that's what we've needed, or we've missed, with him being out. Just having him out there just puts the opposition in two minds.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good performance straight up. Off a pretty serious injury. He really went after it, and
he looked super sharp.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I was really impressed, despite a few errors.
Yeah, I think personally, I think he's in his mind. He's been. It's hard to say selfish. I don't want to call him selfish, but I definitely think after everything he's been through with the concussions and maybe considering retirement, that was an option after that bad run of head knocks that he had. I think in his mind he had a goal. Let's not call it selfish. He had a goal to get back into play Origin. So well done. He's done that. He's made the team, and I'm sure he probably would have had some chats to Slater before, knew he was kind of in line to do that. So gave him the motivation to do it, and he came out and he I think he played a real solid match, but I don't think he was 100% for the team. I think he was a bit more for himself compared to what he was for the team in this match. Would you agree with that?
But I didn't honestly think about that, because I personally didn't think he was really going to be even considered for Origin. But
okay,
obviously he got picked, but that wasn't even in my mindset. So I can't really speak to whether that was in his mind.
I've watched some interviews of his, and I've also watched some things that Slater said, and I just think he was primarily out there to make a spot in the Origin team. It wasn't like this year he came back and said, I'm not playing Origin. I'm going to, I want to get the Knights into focus on the Knights. That's not what happened this year. And good on him. He deserves to play State of Origin. So not taking that against him. But when it comes to the, pure team performance, I think that was secondary in his mind. And maybe that's what led to some of those errors. He was pushing maybe a little bit too hard in his first match back. He was throwing his hands around in the air a little bit when he wasn't getting the ball, and you got to kind of fit back into the team and what they've been doing to in previous weeks. He's been out for 8 weeks, 10 weeks. So I think Hastings took a bit more control of the side, and that's what he needs to do. And you saw that try that Gagai scored. That was off the back of a Ponga kind of decoy as well, right? So. And the commentators were saying it too. It's a good thing that they used Ponga a bit more as a decoy, but I don't think Ponga was too keen about it. But is what it is.
No, but that's what I liked about Hastings' performance. He didn't sort of submit to Ponga demanding it. He just he did what he thought was right and continued playing what was in front of him. Whereas I think maybe a younger player or something, a less experienced player, would be like, I'm going to give it to the superstar every time. So. Yeah,
I think Hastings should be captain. At the end of the day, he's the general, and he's the one in control of the side at 7. I don't like Ponga as captain. I'd prefer to have Hastings there, and he's the one that's got to run the team. So anyway, that's my take. There's definitely some work there with their chemistry. I think Will Price. I think that's the right spine now. Bring back Phoenix Crossland. I thought Jaden Brayley played a really good game. I thought he was a lot better. It's quite interesting that Brayley and Daniel Safidi played markedly better than what I've seen from them really all year. Now that there's pressure with their contracts in the media, they've been put on notice. I think that, and it's definite that they have by the club, and also that's out in the media. So I don't think it's any surprise that, to see Brayley and Daniel Safidi aiming up and playing well because they're playing for their next contracts, probably most likely not at Newcastle. So, yeah, that I thought I found that interesting, to correlate the performance with what's going on in the media and the contracts in the club and the movement around their squad. But we'll take it. We'll take the performance was good. And I think Will Price has done a lot of. He did some good things. He was definitely a little bit shy in the first half. He's more happy to kind of just shift it on to Gay Guy and pass the ball rather than run. And I think Ponga pre-match said that he'd like to see Price run the ball and he run off that. It didn't happen until the second half when I think Will Price took one of his first starts and Ponga tried to get off the back of that. And then I think Price offloaded to someone else when he couldn't get a clear pass to Ponga. But that's going to potentially be a lethal combination, him and Ponga and Price. Looking forward to seeing that develop. We've got to see Price running the ball, Hastings, steering the team around, and Ponga chiming in. There's plenty of places that he can chime in, and I think probably a little bit less ball playing from Ponga and a bit more running. And I definitely noticed that his focus was to run as opposed to pass. Which I think most good fullbacks these days do. They've got a run first mentality. So I think there's some key points. And I thought just touching on the Safidis, it's the first game when they've really both played well together, and both aimed up and made a big difference to the actual outcome of the match. That's what we've been calling from the season preview, James. We haven't really seen it before this game. And look, I think we dominated the Raiders in the middle. I think we definitely had the edge there, and they did it all match. So, well done. And my take on Daniel Safidi, even though they're like saying they want to shop him around, I mean, unless if let's say he's on $800,000 a year, I know he's got to look after himself and his future and his family and all that kind of stuff and make the most money he can whilst you're playing. But I don't know. If I was Daniel Safidi, I'm on 800 a year, and the club's going to get rid of me. I'd be having a chat to the club to reduce my contract. Because at the end of the day, if they want to keep him, and he's happy to stay there, maybe just take it on the chin and say, look, I probably don't deserve to be on 800 that year, and I'll take 650 or something. It's like, what's the point in? We're going to have to pay part of his salary anyway. Let's say he goes to the Dragons, which they're talking about, and the Dragons get him for 600, and we've got to pay 200 a year. What's the point of that? I'd rather him play for the Knights for 600 a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's all dependent on whether or not if he really wants to stay, he probably would do that, take the pay cut.
And that's the way I see it, but I don't know whether that's the way. He probably wants to make as much money as he can, and maybe he's keen to get out of here and have a bit of a break and, not be in the shadow of his brother.
Yeah, fair call.
If that's the case, and we don't know, we're only kind of, looking at the potential options. And anyway, just thought that just some interesting thoughts when it comes to that situation. What do you think of Matt Croker? I thought he was excellent at 13.
He looked really sharp as well. Like he was just he was playing really upbeat, looked really fast. I was impressed with him. There was a couple of really good runs in that first half, and I just thought, geez, where's this guy been? I thought he offered a lot more than Brody Jones. Like Brody's just more of a toiler. He looked. I thought Croker looked way more dynamic and threatening to the line. So really.
But it just goes to show, when you give a guy an opportunity, it's his first time he's had a chance to start in the team, and I think in some ways we missed Elliott, but in some ways Croker offers something different in terms of a physical presence and making more meters. And they just got to back Croker. I think he should be our 13 moving forward. I think he's got good hands.
I'd be with that.
He's got good agility. He's got he doesn't just run straight. He's got a good step on him, a good footwork and good hands. So I'd be developing him to be the 13.
I mean, he was in the starting lineup last year pretty much for that whole run. I'm trying to think what he did to sort of be on the outer. Was there injuries? Was he?
I'm not sure that he was starting, but he was definitely in the top 17 for that whole run. So I'm pretty sure Elliott, when he came back, was the 13 for most of those matches. when he was back in not injured. So yeah. Anyway, I just thought, yeah, Matt Croker, well done. You got your chance, and I thought you played really well. Interestingly, though, he only got 38 minutes, and all the other forwards had more minutes than what he did. So even though he played so well, but still the coach didn't give him more. If you've got a player that's playing so well, why wouldn't you just keep him out there? I don't know.
That's it. Yeah, there's no reason to bring him off, is there? Obviously,
no.
Strategically, there might have been something, but yeah, if he's playing well, keep him going.
And then there's another thought too. I mean, that when we lost Tuala early in the second half, would you have brought? I know the coach wanted to stick to the game plan. I think that was to bring Sharp on in the last 15 minutes. So once again, we show that inflexibility to be able to adapt to a game. I mean, yeah, putting Lucas into the centres allows you to sort of stick to that game plan and then bring Sharp on, and he did play that role. So, I mean, it's up to the coach, and that's what he decided to stick to. But I mean, do you think that Sharp maybe would have been better served going to the wing?
I mean, it was obviously a possibility we could have done that, but I was happy to see it the way it went and have him come off the bench and play that sort of in the middle role, the 14. But yeah, I mean, AOB could have gone down that route. I don't know how he'd go, making meters off the wing, if you know what I mean, like a Tuala or a Ramazu. So,
I reckon he would.
Bring it to be good.
Yeah, I do. Look, he's a very good ball runner. He did really well. I thought he played really well. I thought his runs in the middle were really good.
Yeah, he looked threatening.
He's just got to be in the side moving forward. I think he's a real footballer. So that's exciting. Form of Croker was exciting, and the form of both Safidis was exciting. I thought Brodie Jones. I also thought he's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty physical. Made that awesome try-saving tackle. So that was great. I thought I didn't see a lot of Lucas in this match, but he did get shuffled around and he had to play in the centres. So that would probably explain that. And
solid. Didn't see much of KPP either. He seemed to be quiet. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, his run meters were 76 and Frizzell was 67. So we didn't see as much of them. I thought Thompson was pretty solid, especially with some of his effort plays and not necessarily from a stats point of view. As I mentioned, Brayley was good. I mean, overall, there wasn't a bad player in this side. And, I think this is the first time that Spine's played together and also having Sharp coming off the bench. So there's a lot of upside in the Knights. It was good just to see them get the win. And, overall, not a bad player in the side. But definitely the 9 errors that we made, most of them were made by Ponga and Price. So hopefully they can cut that out of Price's game and Ponga can sort of – well, I think Ponga will be in a different mindset when he comes back and plays for the Knights after Origin. So might not see that he was going 100 miles an hour basically. It's hard to bag the bloke when he's trying to, doing his best. But some critical errors. Audio press conference notes. So Brian, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Basically, he was nervous and he said that he was angry and it was a range of emotions going there. And the bad second half basically said they were finding ways to lose, but the grit and determination was there. So that's what got them through. And look, I think ultimately we were much on paper, like I said before the match, I think our squad's much better. We've got a lot more upside compared to the Raiders, but Raiders are a good team. There's definitely a good spirit there in the Raiders, and Sticky Stewart's a good coach, so he's an excellent coach. Probably one of my favorite. He's probably my second favorite coach, actually. He's a very passionate guy. He's good, like Sticky. It's great. It's great what he does down there in Canberra. Ponga's comments were he was nervous before the match, but he was happy with how he played, he said. And he said the effort and the hard work for the team paid off. Do you want to run us through your final analysis, mate?
Yeah, my first point. Slow start for the Knights. They gained the ascendancy around the 10-minute mark due to a high tackle on KP. That's where I thought this game was very. First 10 minutes, the Raiders had majority of the ball off the back of some errors and stuff for us, or penalties.
Yep.
And then after the 10-minute period, once we got that, like I mentioned there, the penalty high tackle, which was a very soft penalty, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
We dominated possession for the next 10 or 12 minutes and got those 2 tries. But that thing it was in blocks this game, I found, like periods of 10 minutes. We're up. Yeah. But to continue, KP swung the possession the Knights' way for the next 10-minute period. Next point, during this period, the Knights scored 2 tries and looked quite comfortable. Any pressure the Raiders put on the Knights had to endure seemed to be off the back of our own ill discipline or errors, like I mentioned earlier. I don't think it was much that the Raiders were doing. It was just our own sort of discipline and stuff.
Sure.
Next point, nice set play for the Knights resulted in them extending their lead early in the second half. After this, I felt they weren't as cutthroat with the ball in attacking field position. The game turned into a bit of a slogfest after this. Next point, due to errors in the back half of the game, we invited the Raiders into the game, potentially stealing it at the death. And my final point, far from perfect, but a good win down in Canberra, which you'll take any day of the week. So happy with the win for sure.
Yeah, take the 2, put it onto the ladder, and we move on. I thought the energy and the effort was excellent. I thought it was an excellent defensive performance. I don't think we ever really looked like letting the Raiders in, which I thought was awesome. Actually, before we get into that, I just want to go back into this. Will Price, he made 29 tackles, and I think he only missed one tackle on the NRL stats. This is the one from Fox Sports. So when this Will Price has been questioned in regards to his defence, I mean, to be making the Canberra ran at him all day, basically. So well done to Will Price. Yeah. I think that was just something that I wanted to bring up. So excellent defensive performance. Well done, Will Price. Definitely aimed up there. And I reckon that's got a lot to do with the people inside and outside him as well. And that's what I was mentioning before. You just got to get the right players in the team and get around them and support them. And, you got to play to their strengths and support them in their weaknesses. And I think that's what they're doing with Price. So really looking forward to him staying in the side and developing. And it could be great timing going into the finals. If we can get some confidence in that spine and keep our forwards healthy, then sky's the limit for what we can do for the rest of this season. And I think in this match, they positioned themselves to put the Raiders away. But it was the errors from Price and Ponga were critical, and that basically kept the Raiders in the match. So if we were able to cut those errors out in the critical times, I think we easily put another 3 or 4 tries on the Raiders, especially when they would have got a bit of scoreboard pressure on the Raiders, and the game would have changed. It wouldn't have been so tight. I thought, like we kind of did last year down there, I thought we would have done that in this match. And I actually did put a live bet on probably around 20, 25 minutes into the match for the Knights to cover 7.5 points. And that bet actually went down by 3.5 points. So I was pretty disappointed, especially because they scored off that intercept. And if it wasn't for that, the bet would have landed, and a lot of these errors. So, I think overall we won the match. We did it pretty comfortably. Got a bit hairy at the end. I think we should have won it by more, but just for where we're at in this match and this stage of the season, it was meant to be a close one. They could have made it a lot easier on themselves, put the Raiders away. That was my final take, and we take the win and we move on. So let's go into the 3-2-1, James.
Yep. So my 3 points, it was Jackson Hastings. I haven't really picked him much this year. I think a few 1 and 2 points maybe, but I was just watching him closely in this game, and I was just impressed the way he was getting the team around the park. I also, like I mentioned before, about the willingness to not just bow down and do what Ponga wants. Like he's doing what needs to be done rather than just.
It's good.
I was very impressed with that. So I thought his kicking was pretty strong. There were a couple of some of the little dinks over the top, weren't probably high enough in that, but in general, I thought he was really good getting the team around. Got Dane Gagai for 2. He's just been great all year. He's just, he's getting better with age, I think. So, and he obviously got an origin spot.
Red wine Gagai.
Yeah. KP, picked him for 1 point. I just thought he was a threat, particularly in that first half. He looked great. Yes, there was errors, probably some critical ones, but I thought he played really well on his return.
Yeah, I couldn't put him in my 3-2-1 because I think ultimately intercept pass that led to the Raiders getting back in the match, and then a couple of other critical drops that could have cost us, and actually that last drop that he made in the last couple of minutes, it gave the Raiders that last chance to score that try, didn't it? So I look at the impact of the match. So I think Gay Guy for me, he got my 3. I think Hastings definitely played well and could have easily figured in the 3-2-1 here as well, and probably should have, but I wanted to give Jacob and Daniel Safidi some kudos. I think this game, primarily, if you didn't win the middle, you wouldn't have given yourself a chance to win. So for that reason, I think they both led the way and played really good nights, hard, strong, tough footy. So 2 for Jacob, 1 for Daniel, and was really happy to see them both playing well. So that was great. And well done to Dane Gagai. He's playing really well.
He's killing it.
So when we go to the ladder of the year, you got Bradman Best out there on 25, KPP on 19. He hasn't done a lot for a few weeks on the ladder. He's definitely gone through a bit of a slow up period. I think he got an injury and then hasn't really figured as much in the prominence or influence of his old as much as he was earlier. Sorry, I should have had there. Dane Gagai's actually on 19, so he's an equal second. So let's call him second position because overall, I think if we had to pick between Gagai and KPP, Gagai's probably been the stronger player all year, but both have done well. Ponga's on 18, and then you've got Jacob Safidi on 15, Lucas on 13, Hastings on 13, the Kettle, Adam Elliott on 10, Frizzell on 8, Phoenix Russell on 8, and then you've got a bunch of others starting from Armstrong at 7, going down. So
Brody on 1.
Brody's on 1. Big bad Brody Jones, he's there on 1.
Keeping the dream alive down there.
Yeah, with Jack Cogger.
Oh.
So here's the NRL adjusted ladder with buys taken out, and Newcastle Knights are in 9th position on this ladder. Win rate of 50%, same as the Sea Eagles, but the Sea Eagles do have the draw, so that takes them above us there slightly. So look, ultimately, I think we've just really positioned ourselves really well here to make the finals. There's no excuse to not make the finals from this position. We should be making the top 8. I think we can still potentially make 4th position. I think we made 5th last year with our run, and there's a good chance that the Sharks now, Nico Hines is out for maybe 6 or 8 weeks, so their season's going south. And if you look at the teams around that kind of looking for that, I think the top 3 settled. Storm, Panthers and Roosters, can't see them not making top 4. So there is a spot there with the Sharks at 4th. They're going south. Then you've got Bulldogs on 9 wins, Cowboys on 9 wins, and then we're on 8 with the Dolphins and the Sea Eagles and the Dragons. So we're right in there. If we win, if we get through these next couple of matches, which we'll get to now, well, let's go into the next 4 rounds. So we'll just skip ahead here and we'll come back to our season. So critical wins, starting to build here for the last 8 games, and now a critical match against the Sea Eagles. And then if we win that match without our origin players and without some injured players, I think this match is going to come. We'll get into the preview in a second, but I think this match will come down to who wants it more and what style of play actually trumps on the day. So the Knights are going to be more conservative, I think, and probably try and play it through the middle, whereas the Eagles, they like to shift the ball around. So I don't know how we're going to go against that style of play, but we'll get into the preview pretty soon. And I think ultimately it has come down to who wants it more. Let's hope the Knights want it more than the Eagles. But it's a hard place to win in Brookvale. But then if we manage to jag that, then we've got a home match against the Broncos, who are on the slide as well. And we'll have our origin players for that one as well. So, although that'll be a backup round, won't it? That'll be after the origin. So we may not necessarily get them all back. Hopefully they come through, they get through Scave 3 and we get those players backing up and we can do the Broncos at home going into a bye. So that's where we're at over the next 4 rounds, and then we'll just skip back here. So we'll have a look at the pass or fail for the season. So that was the first 15 rounds there on the first slide with the smiley faces and the crosses. And then we'll have a look at this one here, round 18. So Raiders 12, Knights 16. Another outstanding effort from my point of view, and another win, another smiley face. So that's 8 wins, 8 losses. I think out of the 16 matches we've played, 12 of them we've aimed up and we've played well, and we've only managed to win 8 of those matches. So I still think we're a couple of matches wins short of where we should be for this season. I think we should be on 10 wins, and that would be equal with the Sharks at the moment at equal 4th. So it's a very close comp. We should make the 8 from this position that we're in, and hopefully we can, with some results going our way and us getting on a bit of a run, hopefully we sneak into 4th, and who knows what you could do from 4th position if we can sneak in. Gives you a couple of bites at the cherry, and who knows where the season could go from here, James.
Yeah, 100%. Especially, we've got some exciting players in the team now as well, like real attacking threats. So there's no reason why we can't. I don't want to live in the past and be like replicating last year. I hope we do, but there is a real chance that we could go on a similar run, and I hope we do.
Yep, me too, 100%. Rightio. Well, let's get into our halftime break, and it's a message from our season sponsor, MB Optimal Oral Care. MB Optimal Oral Care are our season sponsor of the Knighthood podcast. They have a range of zero plastic oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can check out their full range of products via Chemist Warehouse online. Find the link in the description. Thanks, MB Optimal Oral Care, for sponsoring the Knighthood podcast for the 2024 NRL season. They sell awesome tongue scrapers. If you don't know what tongue scrapers are, or if you're not a tongue cleaner, you should definitely consider getting that gunk off your tongue first thing in the morning. It only takes 15 seconds and makes a big difference to overall oral health and just general well-being and freshness. So definitely consider that. Jump onto Chemist Warehouse online and search MB, EMBI, So that's EMBI, Optimal Oral Care, OOC. You can get them on Chemist Warehouse online. Rightio. Just while we're about to go into the second half of the show, but I'm just going to bring up this comment here from Angelo. He's a good follower of ours, and this is what he said. So great win this weekend. Outstanding defense. Ponga was great on the return and love to see it. Would have liked to see more points on the board, but can't lie though. You guys think 4th is still possible. We just ran over that. James, what do you reckon? Do you think we can sneak into 4th based off what we just discussed?
It's definitely possible. It's going to take a fantastic effort to do that. Everyone's got to be on fire. Ponga's got to be on fire. Definitely a possibility, but I reckon we'll make the 8, but probably won't make the top 4. That's just my prediction. Yeah,
I hope we do, because I've got I put a bit of a wager on the Knights to make top 4 this year, and if they win, I'll clean up. So it's not looking probable at the moment. It's looking possible. So I'm definitely hoping that we do make it. But the most likely outcome is that we are going to get into the top 8. I think from this position, if we don't make the top 8 from this position, it will be definitely a failed season. But who knows what's going to happen with injuries and suspensions and the chemistry of the side and everything moving forward. But overall, I think we've shown enough that we definitely deserve to be in the top 8. And if everything clicks, then we'll make the top 4, because I think the Sharks are on a massive slide, and the teams above us are not overly, they're not overly impressive, are they?
Doggies looking all right.
They're not playing well. They're not standing out that they're going to scream to be a top 4 team. So I think 4th spot's up for grabs, and we're only a couple of wins off that. I think that's the point I'm trying to make there. There's no one really, to me, putting their hand up at this stage. There's 8 matches to go, so we'll see who does.
That's it.
Can't disagree though. I think Bulldogs have done great this season. Rightio. So thanks for that, Angelo. Let's get into the injuries and suspensions and get into the second part of the show. Now, something that we're going to find interesting here is that we've actually got an advantage. So the Knights, we're at 70% full strength rating. We've only got Gamble and Tuala out of the squad. Everyone else is going to be available except for the Origin players, Ponga, Gagai, and Best. So we're at 70%, and we've had a really good run this year with injuries. If you ever look at the Seagulls there, James,
Crikey.
they're not in such good shape here. They've lost Evans, their chief playmaker, and they've lost Trebojevic, who's the captain for the Blues. They're at 58% full strength rating here. So we've actually got an edge here when it comes to this match from an injury point of view. So, yeah, that gets me excited. The Eagles are definitely not going to have an edge on us when it comes to the outs because of Origin. If anything, I think we're maybe – I mean, it's not great having Gagai and Best out, but Evans and Trebojevic, they're two key leaders in this side that make a big difference to that makeup of the side. And if you can remember back when the Eagles had players out for Origin previously, they played against the Souths and they lost 14-0 in the wet. So this is not going to be a wet match. It's going to be dry. And, it'll be a different match at Brookvale. So anyway, I just think that's quite positive. So let's get into some of these things here. So the Knights taking on Sea Eagles at Brookvale on Sunday at 4:05 p.m. So that's another Channel 9 game. So head-to-head, Knights don't have a good record against the Eagles. Bit of an arch rival of ours. And we definitely don't have a good record at Brookvale. As a Knights supporter, I can remember many matches, and I've been to Brookvale a few times. I'll probably get out there actually on Sunday this week and watch this live. I've never actually seen the Knights win there, and I've been there multiple times. So
I can't even remember the last time they won there. It's always been a really tough day for the Knights down there. Even when we were at our best, back in the glory days, we used to lose. So, boys going to have to be at their best to change that.
Yeah, 100%. So, and if you look at the last 5 meetings, where are we there? So the Knights, we got up 18-10. I think that was the furthest game away. And then Manly got us 30-6. And then they got us 42-12. We had that draw last year, 32-all. And then we got them 28-18 at home. So, look, I think I might have went to that match actually, the 42-12 one. I'm pretty sure it was that one I went to. We got smashed. Look, it's always a tough place to go and play at Brookvale. Do you want to run us through the side today, James? The starting 13?
Just give me a sec. I'll bring it up on my phone so I can read it better. All right, here we go. So for the Knights, we have at fullback, we've got Fletcher Sharp. On the wings, we've got Mapalongi coming in on the wing, and we've got Greg Marziu. New centre pairing, we've got Dylan Lucas at 3, and Thomas Cant comes in at 4. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah.
Dylan Lucas has been handling wherever he gets thrown, so I expect him to just deal with it,
Yeah.
5'8", Will Price, Jackson Hastings at halfback. Front rowers, Daniel Saifidi, Leo Thompson, hooker Phoenix Crossland, back row Tyson Frizzell and Kai Pearce-Paul, and the kettle Adam Elliott at lock. And do you want me to go through the Manly side or just have a chat about the Knights team?
Okay, well, let's have a quick chat on the Knights team. Thomas Cant, it's his debut, and it's a well-earned debut. I've actually watched the last 2 games of New South Wales Cup. He's been the captain, and look, his effort has been 100%. And thank God he didn't pick Jenkins. So that's why Thomas Cant's been put there, because he's been aiming up. He's a leader, and he's going to put in the effort required. So both him and Lucas in the centre, effort players, defensive focused, both really second rowers, not really centres at this stage. I mean, Lucas was a centre. Cant's more of a back rower. But, I think they're coming in here with a defensive mindset. I like that. And Mapalagi is pretty flashy. So him on the wing is probably not a bad selection. I'm just really happy not to see Jenkins in the side. He's in New South Wales Cup. He's been playing horrible. I actually want him shopped out of the club personally. So
is Mothindriki injured? Is that why he wouldn't have been?
Oh God,
I'm
going to give up on Mothindriki. I've been watching a lot of commentary around him. Some comments from Barry Tui made about Mothindriki, and he's just not rated by the people at the club. You know, I don't know. I think we disagree, but that's what the club's decided. So this would have been the perfect match to see Mothindriki being given a go, but he won't. I don't think he'll. What's the point of him even playing in the reserve grade team? Just let him go. I'm disappointed about that's the one thing I'm disappointed about. But look, apparently it's because of his form. It's not because of anything else. So to me, that even makes it more baffling because I just think he should have been given an opportunity. But
yeah, absolutely.
I can't argue with this side because I think Thomas Kent, he probably deserves his debut, and you're going to get 100% effort from this bloke. So, and Mapalangi's been around for a long time too, and he had one match this year and he didn't play so well. So, hopefully, give him another go and see. He probably has earned that right to get that. He didn't play too bad last week in New South Wales Cup. Good to see Sharp. Sharp could go really well there at fullback, and Marju's started to aim up. So, we've got Price and Hastings there with Sharp, and we've got Crossland back this week. So, look, our spine's looking pretty good, and we've got the chocolates before with this team, and I think I'm feeling really good about our chances this week. Although Brookvale's a hard place to go to and win, I think we're going to play a real. We've got Elliott back. Our back row's settled there. Our front row's settled there. This is actually a good team. And I think the odds are well out of alignment at the moment. I think the back line for Manly looks pretty good, but I really think that we'll get them in the forwards. I really think we'll get them through the middle.
I think my only concern is the makeshift centres, and if they're back rowers. I mean, Lucas is pretty quick. I'm not sure about how quick Kant is. But dealing with a Garrick or a Talau, I can see some issues there. But like I said earlier, Dylan Lucas can handle it. He's played there a bit, and he's obviously played centre in the past. So hopefully Kant can stand up and just do the job, because that's what we need. Just got to do the job this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a contrast of styles this game. We'll get to that in the analysis. Just run through the Manly 1 to 13 there, James.
Yeah, so at fullback we've got Turbo, Tom Trebojevic, we've got Jason Saab and Lee Hopewadi.
I'm not sure. Hopewadi. Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, we'll go Hopewadi. In the centres, we've got Tommy Talau and Ruben Garrick. Ruben Garrick, a really solid player. Obviously, we've got a new guy in for Daly Cherry Evans at 7, Jamie Humphries, and obviously Luke Brooks at 6. So, one experienced player in the halves there for Manly, and a relatively unknown guy, at least to me. In the forwards, we've got Sipley and Alawai in the front row. We've got Jake Simpkin at hooker. Back rowers, we've got Ola Kawatu and Carl Lawton with Nathan Brown at lock. So, pretty solid forward pack there. Some hard hits, particularly Nathan Brown.
Yeah, I don't know. I reckon Ulakawatu, if that's how you pronounce it, Ulakawatu, I think that's it. I think his head might be a bit down after he got dropped from Origin. And Nathan Brown, he's all right, but he's getting a bit old. And I don't know. I don't rate this pack from Manly. I think they're at a 58% strength rating. They're missing some players out of this pack without Trebojevic at 13. Mate, I reckon our forwards are coming to get them. I reckon we've got a better pack, and I think they'd have an edge on our back line. But Humphreys and Brooks as a halves pairing have never played together, and Hastings and Price are building combination, and so is Fletcher Sharp. And Trbojevic, Tom, well, is he going to make it through the match? Because he's a liability. They only eased him back last week, and from all reports, he played pretty conservative style of footy. So, maybe he'll get injured. Hopefully.
We hope so. You put the mocker on him, which is good for us. But look, I think you mentioned it earlier. It's going to be a contrast of styles because Manly's instinct and they, the way they play is pretty expansive. And I think
bold style of footy.
Yeah, with us, down some of our more attacking players will make us even more, conservative, for want of a better word. But we'll obviously try and dominate in the forwards, and if we can stick to how, because we were good defensively last week, if we can stick to that aggression, that sort of just willingness to get involved in that, we will be right in this.
Well, look, that's pretty much our starting forward pack. So don't underestimate this night side, and that's also our starting spine without Ponga. So we'll get to the bench now, but overall, Lucas has done a job for us in the centres multiple times this year. So the only real difference here is Kant. We haven't seen him before, but we know for sure he's going to aim up. He's going to be so pumped, and we know that the team has also played well for new players coming into the team this year. So that sort of club spirit's there to support the newbies in this side. And I don't know. I'm feeling really positive about our chances this week. I really think I think at the end of the day we play a tougher style of footy than what Manly do, and I think that's the thing that may make the difference. Feeling pretty good about it. 100%.
Well, it's more of a what is warranted is a more semi-final style of footy, isn't it? Really, you got to get into that grind and just play tough.
Manly play a bit more of a spreading of the footy style of game, and
100%.
And that has actually worked well against some of the top teams in the comp. They've actually got wins over, I think, the Panthers and the Roosters, and who else did they beat in the top four? I know that they've beaten some sides in the top four. Most of the sides that they've played, they've actually beaten. So, look, the style of footy works at the higher level, but they have also dropped matches against teams they probably should have beaten, and they are heavy favourites to win this match, and I don't think they should be. So, feeling pretty good about it. 1-13. Do you want to run through the interchange?
Yeah. So, for the Knights, we've got Brayley on the bench at 14. Number 15, we've got Jacob Saifidi, got Brody Jones, Matt Crocker rounding out the 17. Extended bench, we've got Hetherington, Cogger, McCarthy, Jones, and your mate Jenkins. And for the Manly side, Falalo, is it Gordon Chan Kumtung? I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think so.
You've stitched me up with that one. What's going on there? Number 16, Ethan Bullymore, and we've got I think it's Corey Waddell rounding out the 17 for the Seagulls, and then we've got Navale, Shop, Madison, Condon, and James rounding out the extended bench.
So what I'm seeing here, mate, is that the Knights 14-17 is almost full strength as well. So our forward pack and our bench are practically full strength here. The only thing that we've got out is Ponga at fullback. Now, Fletcher Sharp has proven that he's more than capable filling there.
I'm comfortable with him being there.
Yeah, and then it's just the two centers. So can these two guys get through and play a defensive style of footy and hold out this shifting style from the Sea Eagles? I think that's the key to this match. But I do think we'll get them through the middle, and I think our sort of grinding, gritty style of footy will. I don't know. I'd back that style of footy over a more ab-lib kind of style of footy, especially with no Cherry Evans and no Trbojevic. I think we've got an edge. But going to Brookvale, it's definitely a tough assignment.
Yeah.
Rightio, so that's the end of the teams list. We'll get into the referee and the weather. So we've got Grant Atkins this week, and There's no clear edge there in terms of win percentage. The Knights at 48, the Eagles at 50%. So we shouldn't see any bias there. Weather conditions, once again, for the third week are very similar to what we've been playing in, around the same temperature and no rain and similar humidity and wind. So once again, as I said last week, consistency with the weather conditions is something that's in the muscle memory. So the Sea Eagles did play in Townsville last week, I think. Well, they played away. I'm pretty sure it was in Townsville. I didn't see the match. They got up by a point against the Cowboys. So they're coming off a travelling match there. And, we're coming off a travelling match at the Raiders. But style of the conditions, I think, were probably similar for us, not so much for Manly. So that's where that stands. We might have a little edge there. And we'll get into the analysis. So we've got Knights here at 70% full strength rating compared to the Raiders at 50. Manly. I didn't change that. So Manly at 58%. I don't think there's an advantage either side with the ref. I think both teams are fighting for a top 8 spot, so they're both going to aim up. We don't have a good record at Brookvale. Manly have an edge in points scored in their attack. And we're pretty even in defence. But I think that might be, let's say Manly still probably have a slight edge in attack, but I think the style of play that we're going to bring to Manly, we might play a style of footy that's going to be more territory and discipline orientated. So if we don't give away penalties and the refs not against us, and we play that grinding style of footy like we did against the Raiders, we're definitely going to give ourselves a chance to win this match. So, yeah, it's just a matter of if we can sort of get enough points on the board, but I think we can. And look for maybe Will Price to have a big match this week, and maybe Fletcher Sharp as well. They've really got a good chance to step up and, make a difference. Maybe that could be one of the things to look out for this week in the match is those two players to really step up. And if we're going to win, I'd have to say that both of those players are going to have to play really well.
Yeah, and you think, a guy like Will Price would be, want to bounce back. Not that he had a bad game on the weekend, but he'd want to rectify, some of the areas where he made those, errors and stuff and just put in a great performance this week. Yeah.
Last year's match, there was a draw and then we got them at home. But yeah, just the last point here is that the Knights gritty style versus the Sea Eagles ball movement. Which of those two styles is going to, get the chocolates at Brookvale? We'll find out on Sunday. And a quick shout out to my mate Nick. Nick manages the building I live in here in Sydney, and he's a one-eyed Manly supporter. So, mate, I hope you've enjoyed the analysis so far tonight on that, and up the Knights. Hope we smash you this week. Rightio. Let's get into now the season betting tally. So we're getting to the business end of the show. James, you set out last week, even though Ponga eventually played, you still didn't have enough confidence to back the Knights last week?
Yeah, it's just something about the Raiders. I always get a bad, I felt going down there, I thought it'd be a close game, but I just didn't think we were going to get on top of the Raiders. But I was wrong. So, yeah. Well,
you were wrong, but at the end of the day, you still held on to your 12% return on investment for the year.
Yeah.
So on X before the match, I was feeling pretty confident that the Knights would win. I took the $1.65, and then watching the match, as I mentioned before, we got 25 minutes into the match, and I thought, from what I was seeing, we scored those couple of tries. We kind of weathered the storm from Canberra, and the way that the match was going, I thought that eventually we would get on top of them and put a few extra tries on them. So I took mine to 7.5. We ended up winning by 4 points, so I lost that bet. It's just one of those ones that was close. I think if I had the chance to make the bet again, I'd still make it. I think I made a good decision, but it just didn't go my way. It was close. The intercept try killed it, and yeah, I think if we held the ball and didn't make a couple of critical errors, we probably would have put 2 or 3 extra tries on the Raiders, and it would have went the way I was seeing it. But anyway, it didn't. And overall, my percentage for the year, my head-to-head strike rate, 14 wins, 8 losses. at 64%. And live betting is pretty difficult. It's definitely harder than head-to-head betting at the start of the match. The heat's on in the match and you've got to make a decision. And I think the odds are probably a little bit more in the favor of the bookies. They get the lines pretty good. They get it pretty accurate. So it's hard to get the live bets, but I've had 4 wins and 3 losses on live bets for the year. And I guess we'll keep going. I've got a winning record there. So, but overall, my head-to-head strike rate's better, and we're still at 16% profit for the year. So, I'm pretty happy with that. My aim is 25% for the year. We've got 8 matches left, and maybe a couple of semis, maybe a grand final. Who knows? But yeah, overall, we're doing well, James. We're making a profit in a pretty hard season for punters. So, the betting notes was landed the head-to-head and lost by 3.5 points on the live. So, just that kind of brings us into what we're going to do this week. And here's the odds, James. Knights the winner at $3.05, brought to you by Top Sports. Having a bet, have it with Toppy. Raiders the winner at, I've done it again. Seagulls the winner at $1.38. I was rushing to get this content together for tonight's podcast. I've had a busy day with work. So, Knights at a line, plus 8.5 at $1.85. And then Knights 1 to 12 is $4.20 and Knights 13 plus at $7.50. Please always gamble responsibly. James, what are your feelings in terms of putting a bet? Are you going to wait until you get a bit more information before the game, wait till game day, or do you have a feel for this?
Yeah, I'm going to wait till game day, but, I was actually leaning to Knights at $3.05. My only concerns really, I'm pretty confident with Fletcher coming back into that fullback position. He's going to be, it's going to be pretty seamless for him. I'm confident in what he can do. So there's basically 2 factors. I think, like we went over earlier, is I think our forwards will be able to handle them. It's just more whether or not the centers can, handle what's thrown at them, and just the parochial Brookie crowd, playing at Brookvale, the graveyard for us. Those are the 2 things I've got
about that. There's just something about that ground. This is something about it. I never forget this match when I was overseas in 2014. I was overseas and I was watching the Knights this game against Manly at Brookvale, and I'm pretty sure we were like right in front to the very last minute, and they scored like on the last play and evened it up, and then they ended up winning in extra time. And the Knights were like heavy underdogs, and I put a bet on them. I never forget that game. It's just there's something about. I wish I should have looked at it before this podcast. I can't remember the last time the Knights won at Brookvale. Can you?
No, I honestly can't. And my memory when it comes to footy stuff is usually okay, but I honestly can't remember the last time we won there. It's always we've beat them a few times at home, but Brookie seems like a bit of a tough spot for us.
So when it comes to the confidence levels, Brookvale Oval's definitely something that will stick in the back of my mind. So, and this week there's a fair bit of uncertainty around, I guess, how this match will go. I can see. I think the odds are way too over. So, I mean, looking at those odds at the minute, if you want a bit of guidance, if you're putting in tips or if you're putting in multis, I think $1. The Knights at plus 8.5 at $1.85 is probably that's a fairly handy start, isn't it? 8.5 points.
And I think it'll be a close game. So
you think so, but you never know. It's just, I think overall the fact that we've got our starting pack and our bench, that gives us a really solid foundation, and then we've got most of our spine together. So I'm feeling pretty bullish about it. We're at that. We've got a bit of profit in the bank, so maybe we'll take a chance. And if I don't know, maybe we'll back the Knights just to win this one head to head. That's maybe I'm leaning towards that right now at $3.05. And I mean, if you're going to take that $3.05, you'd probably take it at the 1 to 12. You wouldn't expect the Knights to win this 13 plus. If they win, they'll probably win it a tight one. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get a bit of interest this week and just put one bet on the line head to head at the 4.20, 1 to 12. if we could land that, that'd do a big difference to the overall season profit. So yeah, there's some things to consider there if you're having a punt. Always, go through your own process. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose. Don't chase your losses and gamble responsibly. So look, anyway, tune into X pre-match, 30 minutes pre-match. We'll make some posts on there. We'll put our bets up there if we make some bets, or if we don't, we'll still make it. We'll give you a take on what we think is going to happen in the match. And look, James, that pretty much wraps us up for the night. So, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just looking forward to the game this week. It's pretty intriguing sort of contest that it's shaping up to be. It's we've got two teams that play different styles, and there's factors on both teams that could swing it. So hopefully for us, the Knights go out there, deliver the goods, and put us in good stead to play against the Broncos at home, where we've got a really good chance of beating those guys.
Yeah, we definitely do. So, I mean, even Angelo says any match from here is going to be tough, but even against the Broncos at this point, he reckons that we can get the win against both sides, and Manly's definitely winnable. So that's Angelo's final thought. Thanks for chiming in there, mate. Hope you're well, and
Thanks,
hope you're enjoying the season. Looks like you're getting right into it. Thanks for the support of the podcast, and big match this week. If we can win this match, it'll make a massive difference to our season. 9 wins, 8 losses. And let's just hope that we can get the chocolates at Brookvale. Hey?
They've just got to do it. Don't overthink it. Just go out there, play tough, play hard, and just win the game.
Yeah, play hard, play tough. That's in the Knights theme song, isn't it? Play hard, play tough. It.
Yep.
Just playing good's not good enough.
The whole song.
What he's all about. There you go. Let's go. Well,
great song.
Yeah, let's hope we get the chocolates this week, and we go in after the Origin period. We're going into that back end of the year, and we can, that'll be awesome if we beat the Eagles, and then we've got the home match there against Brisbane going into a bye. Anything can really happen if we just it's gonna come down to, I think, who wants this match the most. And who's willing to play the toughest footy, and I reckon that's going to be hard and tough Knights footy. Hoping it is anyway, but based off the way that we've played this year, based off the evidence that we've got there, I think we might be able to grind this one out.
Yeah,
fingers crossed, James.
I'm hoping. I'm quietly confident.
Yeah, me too. Especially after going through our analysis. That's what we do week in, week out. We go through the same process. So thanks to everyone tuning in. Up the Knights. Let's hope we see the winning team song in the sheds in Brookvale. And look, if we do, I'll try and get there and listen to them sing it with them.
Oh yeah,
I think I'll get along this week. Thanks, James.
All right, mate. See you next week.
Take it easy.
Up the Knights.
Up the Knights.